I am answering your questions while people are gathering. It's our first day.
Dr. Torsunov, hello. I'll stand up so you can see me.
And you can sit down now. I've already seen you.
The thing is, lately in my life, some unusual events have been happening. For several years now, I feel like I've been meeting people from the past. And they feel it too, and we understand that we know each other the past.
This can happen, but you see, if you knew your past for certain, you could think that way. But if you don't know your past for sure, then it's wrong to think like that, because it will lead to certain changes in reality. For example, I have an acquaintance who says that his son's children, meaning his grandchildren who are being born, are his parents from a past life. Well, accordingly, he treats them as his parents, although they are already his grandchildren, not parents. So that means it leaves a serious imprint on how fate unfolds later. I'll give you an example. One woman approached me and said, I have a husband, we have 2 children, but I want to leave him because I have another person who was my husband for several past lives. And this husband is only for one life. Why should I live with him if he's only living with me for this one life? And I lived with the other one for several previous lives. I said, on what basis are you claiming this? Do you remember your past lives? She said, well, I feel that he was my husband in a past life. I say, this is not a valid reason. This could be your illusion, because people often make mistakes in their feelings. And if this mistake does not lead to anything, then everything is fine. But if this mistake leads to some serious actions, then it's not very good. Therefore, you can have grounds to think so if you clearly remember your past lives. Could you tell me who you were in your past life?
Just recently, I had a meeting with a person, a woman, and we felt that in my past life I was her mother, and she was my child.
That's not true. I can say this for certain now.
Why?
Because in your past life you were not a woman but a man.
Then why do we both feel this way?
Well, you probably love her. There are some kinds of familial feelings and sensations. Some kind of family ties can exist between people, so you feel this way. It's normal.
But she also says that when she communicates with me, she feels like a child, as if I'm her mother from a past life.
Well, it happens. Let's say people meet, and it seems that someone is like a father to you, someone is like a mother. It's just such a heartfelt connection. This is called compatibility. You have such compatibility. For example, it can be simply compatibility with one person like with a father, and with another like with a son. There are such types of compatibility. This happens, and you definitely have this.
This woman entered my life for some reason.
Yes, of course, 100%. If there's compatibility, it means that this person has some role in your life. But at the same time, you shouldn't misinterpret this.
I consulted a Vedic numerologist, and he told me for some reason that I was a woman in my past life.
You shouldn't believe in that, because, well, all these numerologists, astrologers, they're taking on too much now. They're doing such crazy things, it's unbelievable. So if you want to work with fate, then you should see fate or understand how it works. And they don't see fate. They just look at some of their calculations, which can be inherently mistaken. I can give you such an example. I studied this topic, the date of birth, and tried to learn how to determine this date to the second. I learned to do this and saw that most astrologers use the wrong dates. And then I looked at the difference and saw the colossal errors that come out of that. That means since now no one knows the exact date of birth, even minutes play a role there. Therefore, it makes no sense to fully believe in their predictions, because when you use just a regular chart, it's still somewhat possible, but they use many calculations that are associated with fractions. There are, let's say, some degrees of some planets, and these degrees are combined with each other. And if you change the date of birth by just a few seconds, these degrees also change slightly in completely different combinations, and different ratios occur. They just make things up on this topic. And numerologists in general use several numbers to calculate all this. This is completely wrong.
He also told me...
I don't need to know what he told you, because I can already say now that this person doesn't understand your fate. What else is there to say about it? I can very easily prove to you that you were a man in your past life based on your current life.
Okay.
Okay? Very easily. When you were young, when you were little, ask your mother how you behaved. There are 2 types of girls. Some behave in childhood like girls, very gently and affectionately. And others behave like boys in early childhood when they are 3, 4, 5 years old. They fight, behave roughly, throw tantrums. Those girls who behave roughly like boys were men in their past life. They haven't managed to readjust yet. And those girls who behave affectionately and gently in this life were girls in their past life. You behaved like a boy. This is my assertion.
That's very surprising. I thought I was always such an affectionate and calm child.
No, ask your mother. You may remember yourself from 5 or 6 years old. In early childhood, you behaved quite harshly. This is my assertion. I, like all people, can be mistaken. But first ask your mother, okay? And tomorrow we'll continue this conversation.
Thank you very much.
You may remember yourself from 5 years old. When a girl is already 5, 6 years old, she adjusts. But at 3, 4 years old, people often don't remember themselves, and girls often behave very harshly. And it's precisely before the age of 5 that you can see if a girl is very gentle and affectionate. It means she was also a woman in her past life. But my perception of you and your fate suggests the opposite.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
No, let's agree that it will be up to me to decide who will ask me questions. But you can ask now, and after that people shouldn't grab the microphones, otherwise we'll have a queue for the microphone and a fight will start. And then people will say, I was first, and so on. That's called a bazaar station. Your question, please.
My situation is somewhat similar to this woman's. My husband actually left.
No, this is the opposite situation.
I'm with a 9-year-old child. I have a strong attachment to my husband. Please advise how to get rid of this attachment. I couldn't let him go. Maybe because of this, we have misunderstandings.
That was a different situation. The woman had a strong protest against her husband. This protest caused her to react very harshly. You can sit back in your place where you were sitting before. I will talk to you the same way as I am here. She acted very harshly to her husband, and this caused a storm in him. And because he's not a soft person by nature, he began to rebel. And now this rebellion continues, although quite a lot of time has passed. Your situation is completely different. You behave differently with this person. Your self-esteem has gotten very low. When a woman is heavily dependent on a man, her self-esteem falls. She becomes unattractive to him. Always when a person is humiliated, they become unattractive. Only a dignified person can be beautiful. Your beauty faded in his eyes, and his beauty became stronger in your eyes, because he began to take pride in himself in the relationship with you. Pride blinds a person. This is not the kind of beauty that sobers, but the beauty that blinds. And this blindness that you experience now creates this feeling that you depend on him. This is not related to this specific person, it is related to your faith. Because often people don't even know what they believe in. If a person believes in God and someone behaves badly, then the person who believes in God relies on him at that moment when their heart is heavy, and this helps them remain stable. But if the object of your faith betrays you, then you cannot be stable in any way. You lose stability in life and lose your intelligence. This means that you cannot control yourself. You constantly have thoughts, you can't even sleep and rest properly. You always think, I want this person back. This means that you believed in this person, not in God. And this is your problem, because when a person is believed in, they then always leave the one who believed in them. I know many examples. Even in this hall, there are so many examples when a person loved and believed so much that it's impossible to bear. Although it's not love, it's faith. Or let's say a mother has so much faith in her child that the child just can't stand her. Often mothers ask, why doesn't my child love me? This is exactly about that.
Right now, the child is more drawn to him. He's running away from me.
Maybe you have the same situation with your child. Maybe you also believe in him too much and depend on him. Maybe you should learn to depend on God.
I'm praying now and I'm trying, but maybe I'm not doing it right.
Because you are stressed. You are in stress now, and being in stress means that your heart is forcibly turned towards your husband, not towards God, and you need to force your heart and turn it forcibly towards God. Imagine how much inner strength you need to have. For this to happen, it's better for a person to attend spiritual services, to immerse themselves deeply in spiritual life. For example, you could go to some monastery or temple, live there nearby, attend programs in the morning, afternoon, evening. This way your heart would calm down, you would eat blessed food.
You're reading my thoughts.
Well, that's why I'm sitting here. Do you remember the song, I Only Want to Be With You? You see, this is not quite right. It's God who decides who we will be with. We cannot decide for ourselves. In your heart, there's such a firm decision that you must be with this person. Maybe you'll have another person who will be better than this one. Why this one specifically? Why such obsession?
I don't know. I don't understand why I'm so fixated.
I understand. Because you believe in a person. You also believe in your child, and he's already shaking from tension. Imagine if I start believing in you now. I'll run up, kneel before you. I'll say that I'm giving this lecture only for you. You'll say, Dr. Torsunov, I'm uncomfortable. After 15 minutes, you'll say, Dr. Torsunov, go away. You're already disgusting to me. Because it's impossible. A person can't bear another person's faith in them. It's simply impossible, especially a small child who has no intelligence. Imagine this pressure from constant attention. The mother lives their life. Imagine someone comes up to you and says they can't stand that you went there. You can't go there. Go here. You'll say, why? This is my life. I go where I want to go. And they'll tell you, no, I love you so much that I can't allow you to go there and look there. And you'll say, who needs such love at all? And a person can't stand it and leaves because it's very hard. That's exactly how the child feels now. What's his name?
Zakhar.
You see, the boy needs freedom. He needs to move, run, jump. That's how he learns about the world. But you have complete control over him. He's so hurt and unhappy now. Because you've constrained his male life. You've shielded him from life so much that he's just breaking free now. Imagine if you keep him in this state for about 2 more years. He'll grow up to be completely insane. Give him the opportunity to make mistakes, do silly things. Let him stumble somehow, bruise his nose, get into a fight with someone. Give him a chance to live.
Now I'm worried that he's very overweight.
Worrying is not a way to live at all. Being overweight means the volume of your work. Enroll him in some sports club. The boy is gaining weight because he lacks movement. There are children who have a lot of energy. I can feel his psyche now. He has a lot of energy, lacks movement. He's going crazy. He just needs to be given the opportunity to move. Enroll him in some active sports club. He will become a strong athlete. There's a lot of strength and energy in him.
He also has an illness. Maybe it's related to that. His body doesn't absorb zinc.
Well, it's not absorbed because he lacks movement. You need to let him run, like antelopes.
He's had this since birth.
It doesn't matter. Start doing as I told you. When a person starts moving, their digestive power increases and everything starts to be absorbed very well. Give him the opportunity to move and he will become a healthy person.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. I hope that you understood everything and will redirect your attention to the Lord from the man to God, so that your heart will be filled with purity. You should do this in your own faith without changing anything. As you believe, so move on in life. There's a woman in the back. Please ask.
Hello. I have an acquaintance, a very good woman. She does a lot of good things. And now she's been diagnosed with uterine cancer, a malignant tumor.
Is it big?
I don't know. But the point is that they're not giving any timelines yet.
Do you want to know my experience?
A little differently. I've been thinking about this a lot. Why, or rather, what can she do to change this, to stay alive? She had an experience in life where she fell in love with a married man. She had a child with him.
No, that's not why she got this disease.
After that, she had many, many trials and sufferings. What can be done now? What direction should she take?
Cancer is a war inside a person. There are 3 stages of aging, or rather there are 3 types of aging and each has 3 stages. One of the types of human aging is excess weight. Excess weight is aging. Then it turns into a benign tumor, and then into a malignant one. This is how energy works inside a person. It's simply the wrong lifestyle. Let's say she committed some evil act that caused this process, but it can only be overcome through an active lifestyle, if a person starts to move more. Excess weight is energy, and it is overcome in 2 ways. The first is fasting, and the second is prolonged continuous movement. No less than an hour and a half at a moderate pace, or light jogging for 55 minutes. This is approximately, on average, enough load for a person to energetically reach the tissue associated with muscles, and then the process of resorption will begin. But this is in the case when a person is overweight or has a benign tumor. When a tumor becomes malignant, it means an evil spirit is already sitting inside the human body, and a war begins. It is necessary to weaken it at any cost, and the best way is surgical. That means that it's necessary to remove this tumor along with this evil spirit and then continue living as best as you can. So experience shows that all other methods like drinking herbal teas don't work. I've studied this seriously, and usually the methods that alternative medicine offers are very dangerous. Although it's good medicine, I practice it myself. But in this case, they are very dangerous because the person loses time. The classic best way to treat such diseases is to act traditionally right away. That's chemotherapy, surgery, and then switch to a healthy lifestyle. I have several acquaintances who did this and they feel absolutely great. That means that first, a person removes a malignant tumor and then starts living a healthy lifestyle and cleanses the body so it's not possible for any tumor to develop again. And even if some small metastasis was overlooked, it can no longer activate because it doesn't have the strength for it. So you can simply explain to her how to live further if you want to help her. If she listens to you, it means you will help her.
Okay, thank you. She has actually started focusing more on alternative methods now.
This means that she will soon perish. There's a 99% chance that she will simply waste time. And the reason is the unwillingness to cut oneself. People think that if I don't want to cut myself, it means this is the most right path. Sometimes it's very good to cut yourself in order to kill the enemy inside yourself, inside your body. And it is indeed an enemy, and it will act regardless of her desires and interests. I'll give you an example of a person who I consider the strongest in fighting malignant tumors of all the people I've known. I've known many people. This person acted just as he should, but acted wrong in general, because he didn't use methods that kill the tumor. He had liver cancer with metastases. He started acting in this way. He began to walk for long periods, to walk for a long time, because he couldn't run anymore. He didn't have enough strength. He walked for a long time, long enough for the tumor to dissolve. That means you need to walk for at least 2 hours in this case if it's a liver tumor. Well, about 3 times a week, I think. And this person walked for a long time and he was fasting very hard. That means he didn't eat and didn't drink for 1 day. And then he spent a day coming out of this fast. Then he didn't eat or drink for 2 days, then spent 2 days coming out of this fast. Then 3 days without eating or drinking, 3 days coming out of this fast. Then 2 days without eating or drinking, 2 days coming out. Then 1 day without eating or drinking, 1 day coming out, then 2. And so he had this schedule of constant fasting and coming out of fasts. This schedule was very successful for him, and as a result, over 6 months he dissolved all metastases with the help of this method. This means that the only thing left in the liver was the tumor that needed to be removed. That's exactly what I told him. But he didn't listen to me, and he said to me, I didn't come here to talk about surgery, but to talk about increasing the fast to 5 days without eating or drinking. So that means to simply make the cycle higher. I said that this was complete madness because his body wouldn't withstand such a load. He didn't listen to me and started doing it. He completed the first cycle, and on the second cycle his body broke down and the tumor multiplied throughout his body in 2 weeks. The metastases were so numerous that no one could even count them. 2 weeks after that he died. So you see, it's a very risky game. Playing with a tumor is very risky. That means a little mistake and you're dead.
Please tell me. She doesn't spread this information. So I've only heard about it in passing. Can you somehow advise me? The level of concern is somehow increasing more and more every day.
What's her name?
Margarita.
My opinion is this. You don't have to tell her that if she doesn't have the operation, the disease will reach the terminal stage in 3.5 months.
What does that mean?
Well, it means that she will have no possibility to cure it in any way, and her days will be numbered. Her tumor is already quite large. What I can understand and feel through your words is that she must remove the uterus immediately. Otherwise, she will lose her life. But I don't feel yet that there are any serious metastases. So the tumor is localized, and this is the best time to destroy it. But this doesn't mean that she will necessarily do so. Sometimes people don't act right in difficult life situations.
Okay, thank you.
Do you know what the main criterion for the danger of malignant tumors is? If a person feels normal in life and then for some time, maybe for 2 or 3 months, they feel constant weakness, and at night they feel as if they have chills or some kind of fever in the body, and their appetite and work ability begin to suffer. This is a very strong sign that some serious process is happening in the body that needs to be diagnosed, and especially if a person is overweight and already has benign tumors. If these things are happening to them, then it's necessary to raise the alarm immediately.